You wake up, and the weight is already there. Before your feet touch the floor, before the first thought forms in the words, it's there, pressing down on your chest, tightening around your throat. Maybe it's the relationship that's falling apart. Maybe it's the career that never took off. Maybe it's the person you were supposed to become, but never did. And you ask yourself, why does it hurt this much? The Stoics had an answer, but it's not the one you expect. They didn't promise you happiness. They didn't offer you an escape. What they offered was something far more valuable. They offered you a way to turn suffering into strength. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, wrote his philosophy in a war tent, surrounded by death, betrayal, and the slow collapse of everything he loved. He didn't write it for us. He wrote it for himself, to survive. And in 30 minutes, I'm going to show you how his wisdom can help you do the same. Not by avoiding pain, but by walking straight through it, by using it, by becoming unbreakable because of it. This is not philosophy for scholars. This is philosophy for the battlefield of your own mind. Let's begin. Pain begins as a spark, a comment someone made, a door that closed, a hope that died. And then the spark catches. It spreads. It becomes a wildfire that consumes everything in its path. The Stoics called this passion, not love, but uncontrolled emotion, the kind that burns you from the inside out. Anger, anxiety, obsessive desire. These are the flames that reduce us to ash. Think about the last time you were truly angry. I mean burning with it. Your heart pounding, your hands shaking. You replayed the argument in your mind 100 times, each time saying what you should have said, doing what you should have done. And what did it change? Nothing. Except now you're exhausted. Now you've wasted hours of your life feeding a fire that only destroys you. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. Seneca wrote about a man who was insulted at a dinner party. The insult was minor, a careless joke perhaps. But the man obsessed over it. He couldn't sleep. He plotted revenge. He let the ember become an inferno. Seneca asked, who was truly harmed? The man who spoke carelessly and forgot the words by morning? Or the man who carried those words like burning coals in his chest for months? The fire doesn't destroy what happens to you. It destroys your response to what happens. Your anxiety about tomorrow doesn't change tomorrow. It only burns through today. Your anger at injustice doesn't correct the injustice. It only incinerates your peace. Your desperate craving for what you don't have doesn't bring it closer. It only turns your present moment into smoke and ash. This is the first truth the Stoics want you to understand. Most of your suffering is self-inflicted. You are holding the torch. You are feeding the flames. And the hardest part? You've convinced yourself that you need this fire, that your anger is righteous, that your anxiety is keeping you safe, that your desire is what makes you human. But here's what Marcus knew, sitting in that war tent, watching the empire crumble. The fire doesn't keep you warm. It just keeps you burning. Epictetus, who was born a slave, who knew suffering in ways most of us never will, said something radical. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Not what happens, how you react. The barbarians at the gate didn't determine Marcus's suffering. His reaction to them did. The chains on Epictetus's wrists didn't determine his freedom. His mind did. The loss you experienced didn't break you. Your belief that you should not have experienced loss. That's what broke you. This is why the Stoics spent so much time studying their own emotional reactions. Not to suppress them, not to become cold, but to understand the difference between the event and the interpretation. Someone cuts you off in traffic. That's the event. It lasts 2 seconds. Your rage lasts 2 hours. That's the interpretation. That's the fire you started. And here's the most dangerous part. The longer the fire burns, the more you start to believe it's external. They made me angry. This situation is causing my anxiety. The world is making me suffer. No, the world handed you a match. You built the bonfire. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius.
So how do we extinguish it?
Not by pretending it doesn't hurt. Not by spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity, but by asking the question Marcus asked every morning. What is within my control? You cannot control what people say about you, but you can control whether you carry those words like burning coals. You cannot control whether you lose your job, but you can control whether you let that loss define your worth. You cannot control death, betrayal, failure, or injustice, but you can control whether you add fuel to the flames or simply let them burn out. Because here's what happens when you stop feeding the fire. It dies. Not immediately, not without discomfort, but it dies. And in the ashes, something else begins to grow. But first, we must learn to flow. The waves don't ask permission. They come, they crash, they recede, and they come again. You cannot negotiate with the tide. You cannot convince the river to stop flowing. You can only choose. Will you fight the current, or will you learn to move with it? The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate. Not acceptance in the sense of passive resignation, but acceptance in the sense of embracing what is, so completely that you would not change it, even if you could. Marcus wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." The river of your life will bring you loss. It will bring you pain. It will bring you moments when everything you built gets swept away. And you have 2 choices. You can stand on the shore, screaming at the water, demanding it stop, demanding it reverse, demanding it explain why it took what you loved. Or you can step into the current, not to drown, but to flow. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. Think about the last time something didn't go according to plan. You wanted the promotion. You didn't get it. You wanted the relationship to last. It ended. You wanted your body to stay healthy. It betrayed you. And in that moment, you felt the current pulling you under. You felt the icy grip of fate saying, "Not this, not now, not for you." How did you respond? Did you fight it? Did you exhaust yourself trying to swim upstream, trying to make reality conform to your expectations? Or did you ask, What is this trying to teach me? Because here's the secret the Stoics discovered. The river always flows toward growth, even when it feels like drowning. Seneca lost his wealth, his reputation, his freedom. He was exiled. He was forced to commit suicide by the very emperor he once advised. And yet he wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." The wave that crashes over you doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't care about your plans. But it does one thing perfectly. It reveals who you are. When everything is stripped away, when the current takes your money, your status, your health, your loved ones, what remains? The Stoics believed that what remains is your character, your capacity to meet the moment with courage, with dignity, with virtue. The river flows, that is certain, but you get to choose how you flow with it. Heraclitus said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man." You are not the same person you were yesterday. The grief has changed you. The loss has changed you. The disappointment has changed you. And that's not a tragedy. That's transformation. The water wears down the stone, but it also carves canyons. Your suffering is carving something in you, something deeper, something that couldn't exist without the current. But you have to stop fighting it. You have to stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start asking, "What am I becoming because of this?" You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Marcus Aurelius. This is the flow of memento mori, the remembrance of death. Not to make you morbid, but to make you present. The river is moving, right now, while you're watching this, while you're planning tomorrow, while you're regretting yesterday. Time is water. You cannot hold it. You cannot stop it. You can only decide, will you drown in the past? Will you drown in the future? Or will you finally breathe in this moment? Because this moment is the only shore you have. This breath, this choice, this chance to respond with virtue instead of vice. The wave will crash. Let it. The tide will rise. Let it. The river will take what it takes. But you can stand in the current and say, "I am still here. I am still choosing. I am still becoming." And that is how you flow. But to truly endure the current, you must become stone. The storm comes. The rain beats down. The wind tears at the walls. Lightning splits the sky. And the fortress stands. Not because it fights the storm, but because it was built to endure it. The Stoics called this the inner citadel, the unshakable core of your being that no external force can touch. Marcus wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What you build inside yourself determines what the world can do to you. A fortress is not built in a day. It's built stone by stone, principle by principle, choice by choice. And the building begins with a single question. What is truly mine? Your body? No. Disease can take it. Age will take it. Your possessions? No. Fire can take them. Theft can take them. Your reputation? No. Gossip can destroy it. Time will forget it. So what is truly, undeniably, eternally yours? Your will. your capacity to choose your response, your inner freedom. Epictetus, remember, was a slave. His body was owned by another man. His time was not his own. He was beaten, crippled, denied every external freedom a human can possess. And yet he said, "No one can prevent me from being virtuous. No one. They can chain your body. They can take your possessions. They can slander your name. They can even kill you. But they cannot make you cruel unless you choose cruelty. They cannot make you cowardly unless you choose cowardice. They cannot make you compromise your principles unless you choose to compromise. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Marcus Aurelius. This is the fortress. Not walls of stone and mortar, but walls of unshakable principle. When someone insults you, the fortress stands, because their words cannot reach your inner citadel without your permission. When life takes what you love, the fortress stands, because you built your foundation on what cannot be taken. When you face pain, injustice, loss, and death, the fortress stands, because you are not your circumstances. You are your response to them. But here's what makes this difficult. Building a fortress requires sacrifice. You have to give up the illusion of control. You have to accept that the storm will come, whether you're ready or not. You have to stop asking the universe to be fair. It won't be. You have to stop expecting people to act with honor. They won't always. You have to stop hoping that good intentions will protect you from suffering. They won't. The fortress is built on reality, not fantasy. And reality says, the rain will fall, the stone will hold. Seneca wrote letters to his friend Lucilius about enduring pain. Not the pain of the body, though he experienced plenty of that, but the pain of the soul, the pain of betrayal, the pain of failure, the pain of watching everything you built crumble. And his advice? Endure. Be strong. Remember that this too shall pass. Not because the pain doesn't matter, but because you are not fragile. You are stone. The rain doesn't break the fortress. It washes away what was never meant to stay. The weak mortar, the loose brick, the parts of you that were built on sand. And what remains is stronger for the storm. This is why the Stoics embraced hardship. Not because they were masochists, but because they understood. Comfort doesn't build fortresses. Adversity does. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you lay a stone. Every time you act with integrity when no one is watching, you lay a stone. Every time you show kindness when you've been shown cruelty, you lay a stone. And slowly, over years, over decades, you become unbreakable. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because you've learned to endure what hurts. Not because you've never failed, but because failure can no longer define you. Not because you've conquered death, but because you've accepted it, and therefore, it no longer controls you. The fortress stands. In the chaos, in the storm, in the relentless beating of time and fate, and all the forces that seek to break you. The fortress stands. But to truly see your place in all of this, you must rise above. Look up, past the ceiling, past the sky, past the atmosphere, into the infinite dark. There, among the billions of stars, the swirling galaxies, the vast emptiness that stretches beyond comprehension, is where your problems live. Do you see them? No, because from here, they are invisible. The Stoics practiced what they called the view from above, a mental exercise in perspective. Marcus would imagine himself rising above Rome, above Italy, above the earth itself, until the empire was just a dot, until his problems were atoms in the cosmic wind. Not to make his life meaningless, but to make his suffering proportional. Because here's what we do. We take a moment of pain and we make it eternal. We take a small wound and we convince ourselves it's a mortal blow. We magnify. We catastrophize. We turn a grain of sand into a mountain, and then we bury ourselves beneath it. The universe doesn't do this. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. It contains more stars than there are grains of sand on every beach on Earth. It is so vast that light from distant galaxies will never reach us. And in this vastness, your heartbreak is a ripple in a pond. Your failure is a spark that dies in an instant. Your entire life is a breath between eternities. Does this make you feel small? Good, because your ego is the source of your suffering. When you think you're the center of the universe, every insult feels like a cosmic injustice. When you think your plans must succeed, every failure feels like the end of the world. When you think you deserve a different life, every hardship feels like a betrayal. But here's the truth. You are not the center. You never were. You are a node in an infinite web, a brief flash of consciousness in an eternal cosmos, a pattern of atoms that organize themselves for a moment and will soon disorganize. And this is not nihilism. This is liberation. Because if you are not the center, then the universe is not attacking you specifically. It's not personal. It's not punishment. It's not even meaningful. It just is. Everything is only for a day, both that which remembers and that which is remembered. Marcus Aurelius. The person who hurt you will be forgotten. The opportunity you missed will be forgotten. The humiliation you suffered will be forgotten. Even the people who remember your name will die, and the people who remember them will die. And eventually, the sun will consume the earth, and every trace of human existence will vanish into the dark. Does this terrify you? Or does it free you? Because if nothing lasts, then what are you protecting? If no one will remember, then why are you performing? If it's all temporary, then why aren't you enjoying it? The Stoics didn't look at the cosmos in despair. They looked at the cosmos and smiled. Because the vastness reminds us, we are here now, and now is all we have. Marcus ruled an empire. He commanded legions. He He shaped the course of history, and yet he wrote, "Soon you will forget everything. Soon everyone will forget you." Not as a lament, as a reminder to stop taking himself so seriously, to stop acting as if his preferences mattered to the universe, to stop wasting his brief moment of consciousness on resentment, anxiety, and pride. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it." But we don't. We waste decades worrying about what people think, decades chasing status symbols, decades nursing grudges that no one else remembers. And then we reach the end and we realize, I could have been free this whole time. The view from above doesn't make your life meaningless. It makes your suffering meaningless. Your pain is real, but it's not important. Not to the cosmos. Not to the vast machinery of time and space. And once you accept that, once you truly see yourself as one brief flame in an infinite darkness, you stop asking the universe to validate you. You stop demanding that reality conform to your expectations. You stop waiting for permission to live. You just live. With courage, with love, with presence. Not because it matters to the stars, but because it matters to you. Here, now, in this unrepeatable moment. The cosmos doesn't care if you suffer, but it also doesn't prevent you from thriving. It simply allows. And in that allowance is all the freedom you'll ever need. So here we are, at the end. You've walked through the fire, you've flowed with the river, you've built the fortress, you've gazed into the cosmos, and now you have a choice. You can close this video and go back to your life unchanged. You can let these ideas remain abstract philosophy, pretty words that fade by tomorrow. Or you can do what Marcus did, what Seneca did, what Epictetus did. You can practice. Not once, not when you feel inspired, but every single day. Every morning, ask yourself, what is within my control today? Every evening, review, where did I lose myself to anger, anxiety, or craving? Where did I stand firm? When the fire starts to burn, pause, breathe, ask, am I feeding this flame? When the river carries you somewhere you didn't plan, ask, what is this trying to teach me? When the storm beats against your walls, remind yourself, I am not my circumstances. I am my response. And when you feel overwhelmed, look up. Remember the vastness. Remember how brief this all is. Remember that you are here, now, alive, with the power to choose. The Stoics didn't promise you an easy life. They promised you an unbreakable one. Not because nothing can hurt you, but because you've learned to endure what hurts. Not because you'll never fail, but because failure can no longer break you. Not because you'll escape death, but because you've made peace with it, and therefore, you've learned to truly live. This is the path. It's not comfortable, it's not quick, but it's real, and it works. 2,000 years later, these words still stand, because truth doesn't age, wisdom doesn't expire, and the human soul is the same as it ever was. Still searching, still suffering, still capable of greatness. So go, walk the path, Turn your pain into power, your suffering into strength. And remember, you are the fire. You are the river. You are the fortress. You are the cosmos. You always were. You just forgot for a while. Now, remember.